Good. It's not morning anymore. Good afternoon.
Is it? Is it not though?
No. And time doesn't matter, right?
No.
It doesn't really exist.
Yeah, but we'll still honor that it's there.
Yes, it is lunchtime.
Yes. Well, it changed on my way over here, so that had something to do with it.
Okay.
It was like I left in the morning and I came in the afternoon.
There you go. Yes. I was last time I looked at the clock, it was still morning.
Yeah.
So
it works.
Yes, it does. All right. Welcome to Sovereign Spirituality. I'm Natalie, and this is Alyssa. Today we are going to talk surrender. I think it is a really good theme, considering we just came off the full moon yesterday. And I just feel like a lot people are, like anybody that I'm talking to, there's so many of us going through similar things, like versions of the same storyline. And surrender is a huge part of it. Like, I feel like things have switched around, so whatever expectations we had, we've currently had to surrender, and that's how it feels for me. I know that much. So that, like, just getting into the topic, like, for me, it's hard.
Maybe the hardest.
Yes, yeah. I like to, I think that I'm go with the flow, and but no, like, as life has gotten harder, the need to control has gotten more severe, almost, where it's like, okay, like, and then it's having to surrender almost feels like an ego death for me, to be honest. Like, and it's, I wonder if it kind of is, like.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, it's not two sides of the same coin. It's like the two sides of the coin. It's like surrender's right dab in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to have one without the other. Like, yeah. I think true transformation is becoming a completely new person, which means letting go of the old person you were.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all I can do is nod and agree.
Yeah.
That's been my experience as well. And it's really interesting because to see where this conversation goes, but I know for me, because I would describe it as the theme that I'm in right now. And I had come from a place where I had a deep, profound moment of just creative inspiration, where it was like, I almost just felt it flooding through me, and I had to get to work, and I just had to work on these projects, and it was sustainable, and it was fun, and it just felt very natural, and that lasted for a time, and then it felt like in one fell swoop, it just like all moved out of me, and what was left over, it didn't feel wrong, but it felt like I should make sure that I was okay. And then what that turned into was like actually realizing that it was a time to rest. It was a time to put get my hands out of the clay so much. And that the parts of me that want to create with me needed to be surrendered.
Yeah.
So there were things that that didn't need to be looked at the time, but the timing was right. And I totally think too, like what you said with the full moon, and just like how all of us are moving together collectively, like as like we're a human family, so we're doing these things together alongside one another, and we don't even realize it until we start talking, and we're like, oh, me too. So right off the bat, I can say yes. It's probably, I think when you said like ego death, it felt like the parts of me I have adopted that were never really me to begin with, and letting those go.
Yeah.
And like what's left over is like the real me. And that's just an ongoing experience. So
interesting. I think of that song that I shared with you, The Step Into My Power, and it says letting go of other people's like stories for me, something along those lines. And well, I've heard that song probably years ago. In a very significant time where I felt like I was playing out somebody else's story for me. This time around, I feel that I've had to surrender my story for me and what I wanted and a version of me. And that's why it feels like an ego death. Like even this morning, if I'm honest, like I was kind of crying to myself and just being like, she just wants to, I'm going to probably cry again. Like she just wants to know that eventually we get it.
Right.
So there's a version of me that it's like, I'm surrendering this and I'm going with the flow, and whatever comes next, I am open to receiving.
Okay. So if you're crying with us at any point,
Yeah.
Hand hugs, internet hugs. We love each other, and crying is awesome.
Yes.
And if I start crying,
yes, it is. Yeah. Like it's a thing, but And I was like, I know I held on to this idea and this thing for so long. It feels like it's the last couple of years of my life. So to surrender into, okay, like, that is completely a different version. I'm becoming older, you know what I mean? Like, and it all coincides with my birthday. And like, but like, I feel like this was a more immature version of me that I have to let go of and to step into an older version of me. But you know, like, I know it's time, but like, not super thrilled because there was like this idea of what it was that I was trying to create was fun and young and, you know, like, and all of those, but it didn't work for a reason. And it's like, okay, like, I'm going to surrender, but it was larger than that, you know? And I've learned, like, what's meant to be is gonna be, and sometimes you know, like, when it comes to being for your highest good and where you are, and like to just flow, like, if that's not working, to try and force it, and then we go into the puzzle pieces, right? Like, we've been talking about the last couple of days, like, if that puzzle piece does no longer fits, stop trying to force it. And that is what, like, it felt like I was doing, and now am no longer doing, but am like, am I ever going to be able to finish that puzzle?
Okay, I have a super, super strong feeling about that. And again, anything that, like, I express, this is just my experience, and like, the future is being written, and who knows what will come on the other side of this. But what I'm learning for myself right now is a lot of the things that I've been out and about, like, aligning myself to and being like, this is what I'm going to create, this is what I'm here for, I could feel it in my bones, like, this is just it. I can still feel, like, in my imagination and in my body, I can still feel the rightness of it, and I can still feel like it's alive in me. And this is what it is. It's our approach towards receiving those things that may not be, it may be a part of what we want, but it's not the full, beautiful package that was, like, perfectly designed and ready to be handed to you. And I think sometimes we get this high vision, this amazing, like, this is the best we can imagine for ourselves, and this all feels right, but it's still limited. It's still like the person's mind being like, this is man, if I had this, it's like, I'm good. But that's still, like, the lowest version of what is wanting to come to us.
So I've heard.
And, okay, so this is the thing. It's not that you haven't, or we haven't experienced amazing, profound things in our lives, and we know how good it can be, and we know how life sort of works in our own way and in the world. But we're living in different times now, okay? So we don't just evolve individually. We're evolving as, like, a human family, and our dreams are evolving with us. So it's really, really easy to take, like, our dreams from 5 years ago that are so solidified and concrete in our minds.
Yes, okay.
And keep them frozen in time and want to drag them forward. But the truth of the matter is, we can't ever hold on to anything we've received in the past, because we are not that person anymore, even if it feels good. This is my suspicion. And time will tell, is that because I'm experiencing right now, I asked for an upload or an increase in synchronicity. It's ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
But the thing that I am calling for the most are the things that for me are going to make this whole thing feel complete in a manifested form, is the connection that I have in my place in the world and with the people here, with the animals, with everything. It's not just about me realizing my dream. It's about me experiencing it in connection to life. So there's a part of life that wants you to have everything that you want, but it wants you to have it with life, not just in your own little bubble. And so, like, people want to come alongside, and they want to witness your dream, and they want to see it happen, and they want to be, and it's your world, it's your universe, it's your people. And I think that's what I'm getting goosebumps. I think that's what we're all inviting in right now, is an upgraded, complete world that will, by nature, deliver everything that you've lined it in. So it's like, this is the last thing I'll say, and then I want to hear what you have to say. But, like, there's this thing where we've been doing this internal solitude work. I know you've expressed this before. And now we're
Character
ready.
development.
Now we're ready to have it locked into the
Physical,
world,
yeah.
to the whole picture, to the big picture, because those dreams were placed on you, yes, for you, but also for the celebration of where we're going as like a human species. Not to get like too meta on all this, but you can't get away if you always look at your life as like, this is me and this is what I'm doing and here's where I'm going. You're cutting yourself off from all that which wants to support you and celebrate you. And that's really why we're here, because we want to feel that who we are is reflected in everything around us, and that it's so right and it's so beautiful, and we just want to see each other. We want to see, like, I want to see you and be like, I can't help but like want to hug and celebrate and love you, because I see you for who you are. And that isn't going to get away from us when we're out to receive what we're here to receive.
Yeah.
That's, for me, what's been coming through. And I'm not going to lie, like, I am by nature kind of like a globally like wired person.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to think and to feel this way, but I don't think I'm wrong. Okay, so why in my own personal, like looking back at the recent past, why were certain things not working for me that felt super aligned and I felt like I was listening to my intuition? Because I had a part of the puzzle, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we want to take on this amazingly expansive life, but we're only willing to take in a little bit of the tools that are going to create it. Not going to work. We need the wholeness of it. I'm going to stop there. What do you think?
I understand. And like, for me specifically, like, as like I'm thinking, like hearing, and what I'm thinking is in relation to like my current situation is kind of just been like, and I mean like as of this morning or last night, I had a client and said something about somebody being attached to past versions of themselves. And I think that was kind of clicked into place to me, is this past version of me is what wanted this for so long that I don't know how to almost unravel that, you know. And like I surrendered, like it was something that I was creating for years that never came to fruition. So like to surrender all of this energy, right? And then just be like, well, now what, you know, and like to have an immediate answer, like, in that, like for me, the frustration is like, okay, I surrender, and just like I say I surrender, like, and like, but my eyes, you know, like still, you know, like I'm peeking, like I say I surrender, and they always say surrender more, right? And like then I think it's hard to explain, like the surrendering as far as like, and this is just like one piece, because like that's where I put so much energy into for so long. Like I am also looking at the past and how when I have surrendered something, something immediately has come in. So like the fact that I've surrendered over and over again this thing, and it's nothing else is coming in, is where it's you know, like is a frustration for me. But that's also realizing I haven't fully surrendered. Like it's kind of like, okay, that's the whole like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
it's like a catch-22, because if you surrendered, you wouldn't care how it played out.
Yes, right.
And there's still that questioning of like, because finish, because there's something that I experienced that was completely similar, and I'm wondering.
And like, well, and I just think of even with that surrender, like it's hard, but then like I finally got there, right? Like, okay, like I know I'm okay. That's not working, and I don't want it anymore anyways. But I still want a version, the better version,
Right.
because like, why would I want something like this? I want this. It wouldn't be put on my heart if it wasn't, you know? So why isn't it working in any form, you know? And then it's like, okay, so I'm finally come to the place of surrendering that entirely. Like, okay, that's not working, and I'm going against the grind, you know? Like, so where am I flowing to? But even that is like, but now I spent all of this time trying to create something that inevitably isn't, where it does, like, is no longer, right? And that's okay, but am I ever going to get that?
Right. A part of us is like, but is it okay?
I mean, like, right, like, and then because like that part of me is like, am I gonna live, like, is the rest of my life gonna be like less than? And then this is what's gonna make me cry. Like, I wanted that, And I still do, and I know I can't experience it in that way because it doesn't work. And that's okay, like, it truly is. Like, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
But I still want a version of it.
Yeah.
So, like, there's the fear in surrendering that, and then why it took so long for me to surrender is that I will never get any version of it. And, like, to me, like, I don't want to live the rest of my life not having experienced that.
Right.
If I've surrendered it,
Right.
which is what caused me to hold on to it for so long, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that is coming to grips with that, but also knowing, like, that's not making me happy anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, and then it's just like, okay, I'm okay with going with the flow and wherever you're taking me, because, like, the holding on is drowning me, right?
Right.
So that's when you surrender to the flow. Okay, where are you taking me? But then that version of me, that past version, that person that wanted that, who is no longer, because I have transcended that situation, is still, like, part here, like, kind of like, I just want to know at some point I get it, you know? But even when I was, like, in meditation, like, in this morning, it was she just wants to know, you know? Like, so it's not even me, like,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Oh,
Where
completely.
It's, like, it's a version, but there's so many versions, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that is a teenage version of me. The teenager in me wanted this thing in this capacity and in this way,
Yeah.
you know? Like, and, like, that's, no, like, it's time. Like, I'm a grown up. I want to be able, like, I want to have maturity. I do want those things. But
Yeah.
that teenager has been throwing fits because she didn't get what she wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, like, but still, like, you know, like, and we can't, like, I don't know how to explain. Like, I know I've had to be like, okay, that version of me needs to die, right? That ego version of me needs to die. There's been several personalities like that within me that have had to go because they don't serve me anymore and they were hindering my growth. And this one, I feel like I've just been living in it for so long that it was hard to let go of. And surrendering like that. So I don't know. That's
No,
where I'm
I
at.
feel you. I feel you. You know what? Even if, like, because nobody can know what it feels like to be you going through your journey, having your unique. We generally go through the same things, but I feel you. I feel you, and I understand what I can honestly, the part that I can feel is that it's like the parts of us that yearn, the parts of us that long for what feels right. And those things are going to be the things that, because I don't remember where I first heard it, but I heard somebody say once, like, say the desires of your heart are safe. And they're safe guidance. The desires of your heart are safe guidance. And it's true. It's absolutely truth. Like, the way that you know why you're here is what in that feeling of, like, love and joy and your greatest excitement you want for this lifetime. That's it. It's as simple as that. But it's not as simple as that in terms of, like, how that's played out, because it's very, very easy for us to, in our minds, be like, this is how it could and would logically play out, and now I know how to align to it.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go about doing that. And when life is constantly showing you closed doors, and it's like, well, what the F? Like, why? And so for me, the thing that I was going through when I was in that moment of, like, like a lot of inspiration and creativity was, I've been off and on for years now trying to build this online business where, like, I can have coaching clients and, like, build and just really nurture, like, a growing community and just people that I can just pour into. Like, it was a service heart related thing. Like, why in the world would this not, like, totally pick up off the ground? Like, people tell me all the time they love to be in my energy, and, like, I have lots of confirmation in my life, but nothing's growing, nothing's producing here. And I went at this almost like my last hurrah of, like, I can tell that I am being in integrity in this. And that I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even feel resistance, really. Like, it was just like, here we go. And I went at this for, like, 5 months with no fruit. Like, nothing. Crickets. And then, like, a friend would come across my thing and be like, oh, I love it. It was so moving. But it wasn't for them. It wasn't what they were asking for. They were just responding to, like, what I created. And so my thing since I was, like, a kid has always been, I know that this thing in me that wants to be experienced is being asked for. Like there's something about life is calling it from me. And so it's going to create with me. It's like the person that you, like when I imagine like my soulmate and who that person's going to be, it's like they were long ago asking for me before they knew what me was.
Yeah.
And then at some point we meet, right? But it's that way with everything in life. Like there's something in us that wants to be experienced, and somebody or something or life is calling it out of you because it wants to create with you. And so for me, I was like, it got me into an investigative mode because when all that energy went out and it was like, there's nothing else to do. I have this YouTube channel. I have all this work that I've done. I have like all my invitations out there. People can just like show up at any point, click a button and like book a call with me. I'm here and like, hello. Yep. And it literally, I had to get the lesson through my head, my logical mind, to say, Alyssa, there's going to be a time where you've literally done everything you can possibly do. That's your responsibility to do and more. And it's not going to create the solution. And that was really, really hard for me to sit in, because then it left me with the insecurities that I had of, well, great, then I'm going back to feeling what I felt since I was a little kid, which is inadequate, which is looked over, which is nobody even wants me, which is like, it doesn't matter how pure and good and in your spirit you are, how much you love people, like it's never going to be wanted in this world.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I surrendered that part of me. And I'm not saying I did it and it's done, but I've been being with myself differently over these past, like, 4 weeks-ish. I don't even know what time it is. When in January we are. It's been about a month, at least, more. Where I've been going through, this is the only part I can speak to that's unfinished. And I can speak to you about the things that I seen going, quote unquote, right in my life. But this is the part I want to speak about, is that I've been being with myself in a surrendered way where kind of two things are going on. One is I'm being with the feelings and the thoughts as they arise, and I'm not pushing them away or calling them anything. My brain will want to, and it will go on like a crazy, like, judging the thing. But there's a part of me that's practiced enough where I can just observe, and I can feel the spirit that I am, the I amness, witness what is going on in the cloud of the turbulence inside of me. That's the first thing. And that's not to be just like passed over, because when you finally allow yourself to experience what wants to be, it's going to come in intense and hard, and it's going to hurt. And sometimes it's just going to be frustrating, but it disrupts your life. And it's ugly, and there's no gratification, none. Yeah. There's no like, all this peace afterwards. It's like, maybe there is, but it's not a given. And then the other thing has been that I just kind of, the second part of me surrendering is that I've sort of surrendered. I can tell by the way that I'm stumbling over my words, that there's a way about it that's messy, that what I've been experiencing is that I've just gotten into this spirit of just openness, where I'm like, okay, I'm trusting my own spirit, all the work that I've been doing all these years. I'm basically saying, look, I got the message loud and clear. I'm already good enough. Yes. I've already done way more than enough. In fact, I've done so much that it became kind of a joke. Yeah. Inside joke, not funny. Not the funny kind, but still. Yep. And there's something about me that needs to become spacious and become curious about life and become more like a kid again. And kids don't do this thing of like, this is what I want and it didn't work. They throw tantrums, but once they've done it, they're over it and they're on to the next thing they love.
Not this kid.
And there's something but maybe that's the part of you that wanted to be that way that wasn't able to. You know, there's something about...
Oh, okay, for sure.
So there's something about...
sure.
Because kids by nature are a certain way.
Yeah.
And they won't be that way if they're not allowed to be.
Yeah.
But when you really allow yourself to be as you are without anything to take care of or anything to happen, what you'll notice is that the thought or the friend or the opportunity or the next thing, it's just there in front of you, and you're just naturally doing it, not thinking about it, because you're going about living. And I think so much about like being a person of purpose and intention, and having like knowing your energy and being and honoring your energy, and like being so aware of this human experience. It can sometimes become so heavy and so serious that we forget how to just live.
Yep.
And that's what surrender is about.
Yeah.
It's about living.
Yeah.
It's about being like, I'm actually a miracle. That it's a miracle that we're sitting here breathing, talking into technology that people can like listen to whenever they feel like.
Yeah.
And the mystery of life is what we deep down are longing for, because that's where the fun and the surprises and the things we couldn't ever dream up or imagine all are going to come from. But the thing about that is that they hold the blueprint also for everything you already imagined and decided upon. So it's not that it's, and I know this is like a faith game and stuff, but
isn't it though? I mean,
but
isn't
sorry,
really?
because like that's
Like,
there's no way to get past the stage of evolution without understanding intuitively the things that are before the form. That's just the nature of reality. The nature of reality is to be an energetic form, and then to densify, and the final thing that we see, that we deal with, that we bump into, that's like the end of creation, and then it's starting anew.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's this, the only thing I would say in terms of my experience is, until we become so deeply satisfied with just that we are, just being with ourselves as we are, when it's always going to be a dangling carrot, because we're too mature for this. Which is another not funny joke. But like, I mean, I have a friend, I love her to death, and she's throwing tantrums right now, and they were the same tantrums I was throwing months ago, and it's crazy to me how much we can torture ourselves with the idea of an end result. And the truth of the fact is, you get everything when you know yourself, and you know that you are everything. And that's just not a fun thing to hear.
Like, well, what? What?
Like, fuck that shit. Like, I
don't... What?
But
I mean, I wasn't going to be like, yeah, no.
But, like, ask, like, if we're all going to sit together in our, like, fun little circle and be like, am I truly satisfied with...
That is so funny you're even using the word satisfaction, because I literally heard today you can't get no satisfaction, and I'm so aggravated.
Because it's an illusion that it's out there, and that's also a fucking bullshit, but it's the bullshit we need to hear. Because that's the thing is, but that's the thing is, like, I'm starting to understand at 40, almost 44 years old, I'm starting to understand that the only way to access the parts of me that I can actually truly trust, like, whew, like, I trust that. And, like, that's fun. Like, oh, that give me permission to just be like, no worries. That part of me, I'm only starting to access right now. And the only reason I can say that things are clicking in for me is because I've been having new experiences. And those experiences are showing me something new I didn't know before. So it's like, you're not required to just believe in yourself. Like, nobody can believe in something they don't know.
Yeah.
But you are required to experiment and to try to see things differently or in a new way. Because life is taking care of life. Your DNA is structured so that when it interacts with the way that life works, the intelligence of life, they just go hand in hand. There's no, that's like the whole idea around no separation, is the same intelligence that's creating the forest is creating your experience.
Yes.
But you've got to get open enough. I was telling my friend on the way here, I was like, I'm starting to exchange the word surrender for being open and being curious about life. because I think for the first time in my life, I'm actually admitting that I don't know what I want. I have a small glimpse of an idea of what I want, but the actual fullness of what I want, I don't know until I experience it. And it's like,
Oh, okay.
it's like bigger because it's not, I can tell when I have this new experience, it's not just about me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's about everything that touches me.
Yeah.
And the joy.
See,
The joy that comes through, like, feeling that somebody, they don't even know what's going on in your life, and they're just saying things that are, like, bearing witness to your heart is, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not just, like, spiritual mumbo-gumbo. This is, like, people are helping me, and I'm not asking.
Yes. To me, it's also like it's divine timing right now, and kind of like in the synchronicities and whatnot. And we've been talking back and forth about this for days, and like even the words that are used from somebody, like somebody winds up on my table yesterday that I haven't talked to in years, tell me about her journey, and just that helps click into place other things for me to get, you know what I mean? Like she had the next piece, even though she didn't know that, and I had the next piece for her to help her understand the lesson that she was wrapping up, and we didn't know this until we were put together because of, and like. So, like, that I know is, like, also, that's a lesson I always have to keep relearning because when I want what I want and I want it now, that is, but that even goes in, like, once you surrender, then what? Like, we kind of, like, I know I'm going to kind of, like, you were saying, like, well, now it's
there is
sitting
no,
in the what is there to do?
There is no, that's the problem is there's no what.
Yeah.
There is no. The nature of that question is what brings suffering.
Well, and I would even think that as I'm thinking about that, then it's like, okay, like I resonate with divine masculine and divine feminine, right? Like I've been in my masculine for so long because it is only me going at everything. So like
it feels that way. It feels that way.
Yeah, but I mean like physically it is, like it is where it's like there's no help around the house. You know what I'm saying? Like in those aspects. So like, and doing the job, like work and creating my own business and doing those things. So it is like, there's the creating of like, oh, this is what I want. And then the masculine comes in and then is the one that does it. But I'm doing the creating and the doing, And so like.
That's exhausting.
It is. And like, so I want to be in my feminine, but I don't have that, it's having to release I have to do it all myself mentality in order to allow, and I don't even know where I was going with that. Like I totally like lost it, but it was more like, shit, what were we saying?
Well, you had originally started talking about your, like in your work, like the person that you were, the person on the table, that like the synchronicities of like how people respond. And then you were leading from that into, like acknowledging the synchronistic aspects of life and like how beautiful it is.
Oh, the doing and the wanting to do, and that's, but I need to, like, I feel like I have to do because I've been in my masculine for so long.
Yeah.
But I think it's being called to just kind of like chill, and and I literally was told like weeks ago, like last week, like just let the universe work, like relax, like let the universe do the rest. But because I've been working so long and part of me like Capricorn hard worker like this kind of thing like it's no, I'm bored most, like you'll find I've
which
saying,
is a totally which
bored.
is another interesting, super interesting, I heard once that boredom is like a lower vibration than like anger, because there's no passion in it, there's no creativity in it, and it's not like a right or a wrong thing, it's just it's an interesting vibration, and I've experienced a lot of that in recent years when I got out of like major just trauma, not drama but trauma. Continue.
Well, and I think it'd be like even for that, because it's been like, okay, I've been trying to create this for so long, and now I don't have that I'm trying to, and I am fully surrendered to the universe and trusting that that it's being worked on. So now I have nothing to do with my brain. And that is, and then it's like, so it goes into like, well, I watch TV. All right. But I'm used to I don't watch TV, I fall asleep to it, but to have nothing to do, especially with winter season and yes, it's resting. Like I'm sleeping 8 to 10 hours a night. Like I used to sleep for 5, it's just for lack of things to do. Like not even, but when my brain has been going for so long, for it to just be like, it's like, wait, what? And that is, and then as a, as an addict, as in being in recovery, like, I'm used to chaos so I don't have like the storyline of like what's happening next, like I don't have that.
Right. The unfolding drama, the excitement of
which is
so that's
really
a new
healthy place to be.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're exploring a new pacing of. It's not that your life is going to be this way. It's you're getting to know a different pace of going through life, and it's showing you something you hadn't had access to before.
Right, I have no drama.
Yeah, I know. Go figure.
Now what?
You met me.
Like, there's no drama, there's no nothing, and this is really
how
a good
fun.
place to be, because it's like, but it's good, and I know that.
Yeah.
So what do I do? And then it's also like I spent the last couple of years trying to get to know who I am, and then it's like, well, I just did, and now she's gone, and now I have a whole new thing to get used to and have to figure out and like go back to the basics. We were talking, back to the basics and like, who am I? All over again. But it's like, I just fucking did this. But also that's kind of life, because we are always kind of evolving and growing, and we are never always the same person. We shouldn't. We're supposed to grow. But like, I don't feel like okay, like,
I know, I'm just letting this unfold, because this is all perfect.
It was I was at church with my friend, and we were like, we're both kind of like in this season of waiting, and she was like, don't waste the wait, and we just look at each other and like start bawling, and we're like, fuck, like that's, because we've been so, and I've heard that for time and time again, don't waste the wait, and and it's like, oh, okay, like they've been telling me for years, just have fun, like you've done it all, you just have fun, and well, no, because I don't want to miss it. I don't want to, I don't want to miss the event that's supposed to happen, and it builds so much in my head, and it's just, don't waste the wait. And I don't know, like I can grasp that, but I don't think I can actually entirely grasp it, because I've wanted for so long that I don't know what to do when I'm done wanting. And it's not because I'm done, like, and that's what I had to, that was another thing that I kind of had to like, for like this story was, if I surrender, I'm letting it go and I'm never going to get it, right? So it's like, no, you have your promise. You are going to get it. It's just the timing. And you can't control that anyways. So like it's still, but I'm like, but I'm not going to get it if I'm not constantly trying to manifest. And it's that.
Yeah, been there.
You have to surrender, and like
I've exhausted that path. Yeah, I know it to its finish, and it's an essential part of the path. So, I mean, I can definitely empathize when it comes to feeling like experiences are like lost or wasted, or time is, you're not gonna get that time back, or you don't want to waste time. And again, that's just another idea that doesn't make us feel very good.
Yeah.
There's, I don't even need to go there. You already know, but I can feel this sense of somebody's got to be in control of this, or it's not going to happen, sort of.
Yes. If I let this go, then I'm giving up, and they are not the same.
Yeah.
They are not the same.
So
and
interesting.
that, I think, is, if I had anything to say, like, it would be letting go and giving up are not the same. But if you have the mentality of giving up, then that is what it is. Like, but that's just, to me, I equated the letting it go and giving it, like, is not giving up. It's trusting in the universe. It's having faith that everything is going to work out, and that it wouldn't be placed in your heart if it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
And it's just the way, for me, it's always been the way that I saw it. And I was holding on so tightly to, because having foresight and being able to have these downloads and visions, like, I know what I saw. And now the lesson, the hard one was that, seeing that and it not playing out. And that's okay. Like, like I am always, but I held on to that vision of something for so long that it couldn't come to fruition, because I held on to it so tightly. And I understand that, like, it's, we only know what we know, and then, and then we know more. And that was a hard lesson. It was a hard lesson. And, like, I don't know that I will, and I feel like, I don't know that I will wait so long to surrender again. Like, I feel like I went from one not surrendering for 2 years to another not surrendering for 2 years. Like, it was literally the same shit, just different version, you know? But, no, I think that is one thing. Like, okay, I know now. I just understand. Like, I understand surrender a lot more. Yeah, like, it's still not going to be something that comes easy to me because I am stubborn and I am all of this, you know, like all of these things. But I think like what I got from that is more faith in the universe and more trust. And it was one of the things, like, I think I told you where my sister, like, I was talking on New Year's Eve about like plans, and she goes, and I was saying something about the universe, and she goes, what has the universe done for you lately?
You did not tell me that.
Oh yeah. And I was like, character development. Like, And then later on, she had texted me about having been there for her the year before when she was going through a really, like, a transformation in her life. Like, I had to pull her out of a situation, and, like, I was there for her, and I was like, you know, and, like, she's like, thank you, I'll be forever, like, grateful for you for being there for me that day. And I was like,
Aww.
you know, earlier you asked me what the universe does for me, and I go, sometimes it's just the universe working through me for other people. I had found a journal where I had written, like, I'm praying for my sister and this situation, and I'm like, I found it earlier this year, and it took 4 months for that one to come true, but the universe answers my prayers, and like that, and like,
that's beautiful.
You know, like, so I have bear witness to, like, my manifestations coming true, these things coming true. I know what I'm asking for is a lot, and it's very rare, so it's going to take more time. And I think, you know, like, and I think I said to you, good things take time, but great things take longer, you know, like, and I know this and I can spew it, but when it comes to me, it's like, no. Like, and so, like, that, like, and why can I say that so convincing, you know what I mean? Like, and I, with all of my heart, like, I truly, like, the universe answers my prayers. I've just witnessed it so much to know that that is not true. So why am I questioning if it's going to answer mine for me? But also, I have to work on my relationship with the universe. Like, that was one thing I was like, I need to reframe, because I felt like I was sticking up for a bad boyfriend.
Yeah.
But, and I, like...
It's complicated.
Yeah, right? Well, I was like, yeah, I'm done with complicated.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I haven't had a good relationship. So why would the universe show me anything different if that's what I'm expecting? You know, I haven't seen different. So it is reframing instead of being like, well, the universe answers my prayers for other people. But, you know, like, you know, I'm tired of the but. So it was like, I do need to more important than getting what it is that I'm wanting than I've been putting into so long is like, back to the basics. I need to reframe my relationship with the universe, and by that I mean me. Yeah.
There's something that you expressed there that really, like, not only triggered some memories that are sort of recent for me, but also, like, clicked something in for me, is that it's so interesting how it's so easy to, like, let things flow out of us when we're, like, how easy it is for us to see the truth in other people.
Yes.
And to affirm it and to believe it and to bring it into being. And just, like, the way, like, when we first met, how I was just, like, spitting stuff, and I was like, and this is going to work out, and this, and da, da, da. And it was so funny, because after my drive home of our first, like, long chat, I'm like, what the fuck was I even talking about? Excuse me, my language. But, like, I'm like, okay, I know that the things that I say, I speak them in truth because I can feel the resonance in my soul. And I know I'm not just, like, just randomly saying stuff.
Right.
But why don't I know them to be true in my own life?
Yeah.
And that's the really big question and indicator for me is it is an important and vital first step to just have a knowing, because that's how you can tell something is just a firm yes. But there's the aspect of it where I feel like this is part of what I've been really experiencing is, okay, but does the knowing flood you with peace? And if it doesn't flood you with peace, then there's something to explore. So there's this difference between intuitive knowing and experiential knowing.
Yeah.
And when you experience what you know to be true, it kind of doesn't matter what's going on in the circumstances. You really do feel so much peace, and you just notice that your mind is doing things, but it's not obsessing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend like I'm like a master at any of this. This is like a new part. This is a deeper waters I'm walking into in my own personal journey. But I can definitely say the past like few weeks or so, and it's not just that I am in a certain mood or a vibe that's like, oh, I'm just in an energy and then it's going to go out of me, because I've been triggered by stuff. And in those moments, I've acted out on things. So it's not...
That's interesting.
It's not that I'm like, oh, I have this transcendent peace that never goes away. It's not like that. It's just this backdrop that I'm like, I'm not in control. And I understand that the blueprint for my life was part of what I set out. Like, it's not about me managing my energies. It's about me being natural and letting me just live with my energies.
Yeah.
There's this sort of component to it. Like, there's so much to explore in terms of like polarity, masculine, feminine, what is unity consciousness, what is love, what is the universe, what is all these big like concepts that we have a lot of good ability to work around because where we are in our understanding. And there's this part to it that feels like it's still sort of putting your power out there. It's still kind of that feeling of like, once I clue into how to work this right, then it's going to work for me. Once I learn how to heal this thing, and it's you do need to do those things, but it's like the doing of them, you can't stop yourself from doing what you need to do when you are in a surrendered state. It's like you take care of things because the wisdom you need to do what you need to do when you need to do it is just there.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to plan out. And so it's humbling is what I want to say. It's humbling. And I don't consider myself like a humble person. Like I consider myself an open-hearted, compassionate, loving person, but I have a lot of confidence in certain ways. And I believe in like conviction. And I'm just that kind of person. And I think it's extremely attractive in people when they are just really fully owning who they are. And I think some of the ideas around humility kind of mar that. But there is a kind of humility that exists that is in surrender to the intelligence of life. And that is when you recognize that it doesn't matter what topic we're sitting here talking about, there's nothing outside of you that's dangling something in front of you. It's only you. It's all you.
Yeah.
And there's this sort of melting and relaxing into like yourself that happens when you're like, then you can sit under the stars at night and be in awe and majesty of like this universe and I'm this tiny little speck. Yeah. I saw that thing, that like picture that said like, this is you in the galaxy, like worrying about your taxes. Right. It was like so funny. So, tax season. But like, it was so funny to me and I was like, but right? Like it's funny, but I can actually start to feel that there's no separation between that which is God, that which is the universe, and just me on this planet really loving my life. Like, just really like, okay, like the controlling thing and like getting people to like clean up around the house. Like, oh my, I have a 14-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. We live with my dad, and it's all amazing, and it's all a hot mess, and I'm a neat, like, I'm not a clean freak, but I'm a neat freak.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't like clutter. It makes me feel physically ill. And so I just do my thing. I live my life, and I don't put, like, a ton of expectation, but something that happened today, like, I've been letting certain things that I've been fighting with my son about around electronics and about other stuff, I've just been letting it go and letting him and being like, look, dude, I've tried to protect you. I've tried to help you. I've tried to assist you, create all these boundaries, and you're just too freaking smart. You know how to like, he's just so brilliant that he can always find a way to hack my system. So I just gave up and I was like, I'm done here. Like I've put in my mom work and you're in a safe place. And if you expose yourself to something stupid, well, maybe you want to learn the hard way, whatever. The truth of the fact is there wasn't really anything serious going on, but I did let it go. And it was still hard for me. But this morning, he comes up to me he had this new energy. He was cleaning his room. He was talking to me about like wanting to come back to this church that we've been visiting and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not like a church goer, but like it's where we need to be now. And he comes up to me and he turns in this phone. I gave him this really crappy phone because he was stealing my dad's phone every time, like all night long. I'm like, you gotta stop taking other people's property, dude. Like, you can't. So I was like, take this crap phone and do whatever you want with it all night. Like, I don't even care. He turns it in this morning. He's like, I don't want any electronics in my room. And he's like, and he just started telling me, he's like, Mom, I was up all night, trying to figure out what kind of math I need to learn so that when I want to get into engineering, I can do this and that. And it's things that I've been letting marinate on the back burner, like planting seeds with him. Mm-hmm. But I've been really laying off. Like with my son, this has been the year or the last 6 months of like, let him breathe and let him figure some things out and just get off his ass because there's no results. It's the same story. It's my online business. It's all this other stuff. Do I think that, or do I know that I'm going to have this thriving business online and whatever else I want to do? Yeah, it's going to happen. But there's the thing I want to say is like, there's so much to life. There's so much alive in this moment that wants to like flood us with love and excitement and adventure. But we're so fixated on this one thing happening in this one way that we shut the whole show down.
Yeah.
And we don't shut it all down. We have amazing lives. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, well,
my son mysteriously came out of the woodwork and was like, here you go, Mom. I figured it out on my own. And now internally, I'm going to do the thing in my own power. And it's that co-creation. And, like, this aspect of what you're calling into has its own component. And it's playing with your energies.
Yep.
My sister too, and my sister's like, I gotta drop this. Like, I think I'm making it worse.
Yeah, like I feel like what you're saying.
We're all
like,
in the same thing.
Take out the word sun and insert universe. And I'm having the same thing, like trying to control, right?
Yeah.
And then being like, okay,
it doesn't work,
right? Drop it, and then like, and then I think of like sometimes like one of the reasons I started this whole like, and I feel like, and then when they say like time doesn't actually exist because I went through exactly what I'm going through now. A couple of years ago, like this was surrounding, like, and it's like, okay, I did it all the same, man.
Yeah.
Like, where it was why I had to start my gratitude. Like, I was on my journey and it was like, be grateful, like, you know, because gratitude raises your frequency, right? And like that's the one thing that I post religiously is like my gratitude days, right? Mm-hmm. Like. And like and what I had heard was the song "Thank You" from Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I need to be grateful, and that was
if you heard from her, you know you gotta.
Well, and that was like so. But I put it back on because I was like, I need to do this again. And at that time, that was like I wound up listening to it and just staring at myself in the mirror and like singing this song to me and bawling my eyes out. And one of the lyrics is unabashedly bawling your eyes out, and like, and that was me. Or like, it says. Oh, and I get even when I like it's just those like you know she's been through it like but how like these songs would wind up being so relevant. Like the moment you let go of it is the moment that you like touch down. Like you get everything more than any that you could or everything like more than you can almost handle. And like that it was like why am I having I know this to be true and why am I still holding on? You know, and like so like I've had to ease myself into letting go because it's like it's giving birth. It's birthing, right? Like creation is birthing, right? So it's like I've just held like it took me so like it took me so long to create this little, you know, like I don't want to let it go, but it doesn't matter anyways.
You got to give yourself a break. We all do. Like we all.
Well, and I feel like, and even to go back to like when I was saying to my sister, like in this whole with the universe, like the universe answers my prayers. And one of the things that comes up, that's been coming up collectively is like with all of the energies that are coming in, the Schumann resonance, and that's a whole other thing. Like when you're grounding in with all of these energies, it's like, what makes you feel better? Like I feel better when. And so like my mantra became, I feel better when I trust the universe. Yeah. And like that. And so like, even when we're saying like, and I'm saying bad boyfriend, well, like, and like, I'm putting it all together, like, and making sense, like, as we're having this conversation, like, I want to be in my divine femininity, but, like, I don't have that divine masculine, but I'm, like, not letting the universe be that for me. And that's what it needs to be right now in order to bring that in.
Because it will dissolve the idea that it's you alone. And that's at the heart of all of this. It's this idea, anytime there's a feeling of separation, that's the core. That's what is actually People think that the opposite of love is hate. It's not. It's fear. And fear is born of separation. And the whole idea, like there's even a scripture that says perfect love casts out all fear, because they can't exist in the same field. Mm-hmm. And it's the core of who we are as a human being is the longing to find our place, our own specific, beautiful, unique place in the big picture of this planet. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, we think we want this one thing, and we do, but it's meant to be a way in which to explore all of what you want. So all of our desires are gateways or doors to explore other parts of ourselves. And when we make our desire our God and we put it up there as like our mm-hmm. everything, then we go nowhere fast. And and you can have, like, time really is meaningless in the sense of it's beautiful. We need it to be able to have experience mm-hmm. and to like be able to gauge a lifetime. But you know, like as well as I do, that somebody can go hard 10 years on something, lose it all, and in one moment their life can be so rich and so transformed that it's almost like that life didn't exist. It doesn't logically make sense. Your life is not meant to have a natural... you were saying this to me a bunch of times when I first met you, of how like there's not like, it's not like this straight path to what we want, but it's interesting because in like in outer space or the cosmos or whatever, like the straight path is actually the longest path from point A to point B because of the way that gravity bends and the nature of like how that works. The fastest path to something is actually a curve, and there's actually like bends, and there's this way about surrender includes letting how you get there be unrecognizable. And so that means you can't know what to do next until mm-hmm. you'll know what to do when you need to do it.
Yes. So
we are essentially taking all of the mystery and all of the magic out of life when we say, make it manifest, like what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe we were like around the corner to what we wanted, but we just closed the door on ourselves because we insisted that something else had to be a certain way. I don't know. It's this whole insistence on life that it closes everything. Mm-hmm. And you only need one door to open up everything that you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to take a long time. I've had more joy and connection in the past 2 weeks than I've had in 4 years since moving out here. And none of it was hard. All of it was like just showing up mm-hmm. and fun. And I'm just like, well, I'm just going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
and the things people say to me and like the opportunities that have been coming to me that aren't like locked in and for sure going to pan into anything specific, but they're indicators that my reality is reorganizing. Everything is rearranging. And that's the thing, is that's where the faith component I think comes in the most, is if you let your reality or your circumstances rearrange one wonky part at a time and let it look really goofy and weird, but mm-hmm. notice that it's changing without shooting it in the foot and saying, oh, that's bad. Yeah. Oh, that shouldn't be like that. Like, that's what knocks it down and starts it all over.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden it will feel like in one moment everything came together, because it has to rearrange. There has to be a time period where the parts that don't fit like how computers refragment, like everything breaks down and then it reorganizes so it's a nice, beautiful working machine. Mm-hmm. That's how life is doing. And so we just don't give ourselves a chance to experience the fruition of our desires because we're so busy saying how it's not working. Well, if it's not working, then you're right, it's not working. Mm-hmm. So it's not it doesn't feel helpful to hear that, but it is helpful to know that there's a window of time where when you do let go of all expectations and you just become open and you just focus on being in your heart and just having some fun and just loving your life, that life it's doing it. It's like, got it. Like, got the memo 7 years ago.
I honestly, like, that what I want to ask though, is it mm-hmm. about, like, because this is where it is like loving your life or accepting in the moment that you're in?
Well,
because I love my life and mm-hmm. I do, like, but I struggle with feeling like this isn't where I want to be, mm-hmm. you know, like I'm not where I want to be. Mm-hmm. So it's loving the process. Mm-hmm.
So what I would notice is I know it's extremely powerful and important to like engage your love, to like summon your love, to like get in gratitude. Like that I would never give up from ever in my life. But there's a different energy that sort of clears the space and allows things to naturally come in, and you'll naturally start. You have to give space for love to. It's essentially the state that like you've been describing. It's a suffocating experience. It's like love comes in and it gets suffocated. It comes in and it gets suffocated. I'm not saying that's how you are with life. I'm just saying that like that it's a different. This space that I've been in where I've been noticing like miraculous synchronicities and things actually working and building in my life, and like, and also the peace of like, ooh, I can just tell that everything, like, I can tell, like, you could see the difference probably in me since I first met you, of like, I'm just like kind of relaxed about things right now. And I was a little freaking out.
I think it like that was. I feel like it was we started here. We did this and like
right.
Yeah.
And but there's the so in this part there's this sort of that's where the surrender is really happening. Is like because once you have surrendered, you don't practice surrendering anymore. You just are surrendered. You live your life and it's not something you think about. You're just doing it. But what I'm learning is that you have to create space. It's like a garden. You have to create a healthy space for things to naturally do what they want to do without stepping on it. It's like every time you go check on your manifestation, you're like stepping on your plant. Kind of a thing. It's a similar idea. It's not exactly the same, but if the way I've been putting it, that as a practice of like, this is my takeaway and like this is how I would like conclude my idea of what we've talked about. There's two approaches I've been taking that are simple enough that I can keep doing it and it's working. And that is to have, when my mind seems to be taking over and being super judgy, whatever, I get curious. It's being curious in the mind and compassionate in the heart. So compassion covers all the fields because it's not just, oh, like I feel good all the time. It's like, oh, I understand what's actually arising. Oh, there's pain here. Okay, I'm compassionate towards it. So love and acceptance aren't, they're the same thing. Because love by nature it's all encompassing and it's unconditional. We associate love with like, oh, this feeling of like la 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 in my heart. Like that's not love. That's one aspect of love. That's one avenue it can show up. But love is actually more like the quality of peace. It's more like the quality of like oneness. It's like this feeling of like, it's just that it is. I don't know how to describe it, but it's no surprise that the ego is so afraid to accept because it knows that in the acceptance it dies. People, the insidiousness that the ego does is that if I accept, I'll lose everything I want. I'm giving up. That is universal in people's experiences, and you cannot know the truth until you allow yourself to see that that's not true. Because
that's what I was saying. The letting go and giving up are not the same.
So you have to trust that there's a part of you that's got everything in place, and it's like, we're good, girl. We're good.
100%. Like that is like that, but this ego is like out of control.
So that's where you just practice the being in that state of the I am, where you're just observing what arises. Oh, there's those thoughts again. It's a practice. It's a muscle you build where you no longer are so attached and so in your face with identifying with your thoughts. Because when you don't, you know how it is in certain ways. You can see thoughts come up and they're laughable because you're like, oh, there you are again. Like when it's been something you have enough distance from. So you just make that a way of life where you just know you know what you are. And you know that it's not that. And then what will happen is, like, emotions are just energy. Something you might want to call fear or shame or guilt, it'll just rise up in your body. You'll be curious. You'll notice it. You'll want to judge the F out of it, but you won't eventually. And then you'll just see that it does its thing. And you're like, oh, that's what was that? And then you're more curious next time. And you're like, oh, here it comes again. And that's where I've been sitting in a lot, is just, what is this? I'm not going to pretend I know. I'm not going to be so, like, arrogant that I know what this is. Because my mind wants to say, oh, it's my shame from when I was a child and I was abused and blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, maybe, but you're not that person anymore being continuously abused. So maybe just be the witness and be the love to that part of yourself that didn't have it when it was that age.
Well, I think, like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, like, it's the pattern, right? Like, that you spend all, like, if you engage with that emotion every day, that becomes the pattern that even if it's no longer there, it's still coming, you don't know what to do without it. So then that's the, you know what I mean? Like, so it creates.
It's perpetuating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what we do. The ego isn't a term I use a lot, but like, I like to think of it as the personality because it's just kinder, and like, we're not really trying to kill the ego. We're trying to transcend it and let it do its thing, but like not let it have the driver's wheel. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that I feel like I lost my thought.
Well, yeah. Well, and I feel like the ego, because when I referring to ego, it's the metaphysical. It's not like ego. Oh, like, oh my God, you're such a big head. Like, no, it's ego is fear. It's the fear based, thoughts. It's
the fuel. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That's what exactly when you were talking about perpetuating things is. We're feeding it. We're making it stronger and more capable to keep going because we keep feeding it by engaging with the fear.
Yes.
But when you observe the fear and you don't engage with it, it will naturally lose its energy and it will just dissolve.
Yeah.
And you'll notice how that feels in the body because it will morph and change and do all kinds of weird stuff. And you'll notice as you observe it, you can't even call it fear anymore. You don't know what it is. It's just that which is arising, and before you know it, it's gone. And then the next time you're presented with that same theme, all of a sudden you're not triggered one day and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
Because you were natural about life.
Yeah.
And that's...
I like to, because I refer to like as stories, right? Yeah. Like, I'm like, that's an old storyline. Yeah. Like, that's not...
Yeah. And you're just giving it a nice... You're giving it another nice, like, healthy meal. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and it's a beautiful thing to think about, because... when we can realize, oh, okay, that's just me, like, giving more power to the part of me that wants to stay in fear. It's easier to let go. It's easier to be like, oh, I don't want to keep feeding into that. Yeah. Like, you can sort of disassociate and be like, do I want to make that aspect of myself stronger?
Right.
Well, that's a question that's good to sit with. Yeah. Because eventually you'll just be like, shh, no way, no way. Yes. And you won't even be able to. So everything in life, it's a practice. Yes. But it's so, so important in the topic of surrender to know your power and know who and what you are before you even really begin it. Because there'll always be the temptation to think that something about you's wrong. And you need to get it right first. You need to get it right first in order to be good enough to get the end result.
Yep. That is so interesting you say that, because like there was a little, like I was thinking about something and there was a little blip like, oh, what's wrong with me? And like I immediately answered myself, nothing, Natalie, nothing, but like that is, we're so inclined to think that there's something wrong with us and there's just not.
Yeah. And
like that is, like, and so that's the thing, like, it's like, well, I'm glad that I'm there, because for a very long time I was like, there must be something wrong. If I'm not getting it, then I need to work on something. And it's kind of like, no, it's just, this is how it is, like, and so to be able to be, like, to have this, like, inner dialogue of, what is there, like, what's wrong with me? Nothing. Like, that's a great, and that's a healthy place to be. Like, if you ask the question, because you can't ever really get rid of ego. Like, it's there to protect you. It'll always be a thing.
It's there.
But it's how you work with it, right?
Yeah, it's
so
there.
There's that mindset.
Yeah, like, we can't have experiences without an ego. Otherwise, we're just back in our spirit state. Yeah. We're here to explore. To have an experience, you need contrast, and you need to feel like there's some sort of separation from yourself. Yes. And so, what better way to get to know yourself than to put a whole bunch of illusions in front of your face and find your way back to yourself? Yep. That's just the whole journey. It's a game. That's the
whole point. But on that note, it's, like there we could go on, and that can be a whole other topic itself. So,
whoo! How do you feel?
This was a roller coaster for me.
Yeah.
But that's been this week, this month. Like it's. I feel so good about something, and then something else comes in, and I feel like, and then it's like, okay, no, like trying to get back to a positive mind state, but also wanting to sit with the stuff that is coming up, because that's there to be explored. And like we're in a still state of like surrendering and into letting go of, and in, you know, like taking a look at what narratives that I still have running and like that. So like I do feel like for sure I'm going to be lost in thought for a little bit after this one to look at like, and like there was definitely pieces that have been put into, you know, like perspective for me, even in just with talking to you and like
same,
but also not wanting to beat myself up about like, well, I could have learned this lesson a year ago, and you know, like, because that's something like I am really hard on myself, so also trying to do that in a way where I am kinder to myself. So it's interesting, like I do have a lot to process.
I have an interesting, because you mentioned before reframing, and I had a thought that just came to my mind about reframing the idea of learning lessons. And, like, what if we reframed it to, like, and I've never thought this thought before, but instead of learning a lesson, we're just getting to know ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there's something there. There's something there about, like, again, like, until I learn this, I'm never going to move forward. And I think at the heart of everything going on, there's a way more compassionate way to be with ourselves, and there's a way more truthful way to be. And I think at the heart of it, they are lessons for sure, but that's not why we came, was to learn lessons. We're here to be who we are. Yeah. And so the lessons help us uncover what's true and what's not, but I've been approaching things like when I've been like doing like my mantras and just driving around or doing whatever. For a while it was like, hey, life, show me how helpful you can be. Like, I want to see all my helpers. Like, where's all the help today? But then I started moving on to like, I just really want to feel like my exploration is really light and fun. I just want to feel light and fun. Like, as I get to know what's right for me, I just want it to feel like easy and fun. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of power in that. Yeah. And I'll report on it after I've lived a little life.
Yeah, I'm like, because that could go right directly into another topic. Of different versions of ourselves
there's lots of topics, like, all the topics. So,
I know, it's always something.
But what I love about talking to you is that like everything that we talk about is so like universal. Like everybody goes through this in their own way. Yes. And everybody's got a way. It's like these kinds of conversations make me feel more okay. Yeah. Because I'm like, yeah, it's just me and everybody else. Yes, very true, very true. And we can do this. We got this. So
we got this. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun. No serial killers this time.
Nope. Not till the very end.
I know, right? Next time I might not even bring it up. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. All right. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a beautiful day.